I had a panic attack after my daughter set me up to meet my abuser to let go of the past, so her siblings dragged her name through the mud. About 24 years ago, I was essayed by a close friend of mine and got pregnant by the encounter. I was inconsolable for months after the event. To make matters worse, I found out I was pregnant at about 20 weeks, and where I lived at the time, it was illegal to get a termination after the first trimester. My husband had been my rock and my support during that time, and I do not know how I would have ended without him. He said that I could put it up for adoption, or I could keep the child, and he would raise it like our other children. I decided not to give it up for adoption, but raising the kid was hard. I am half Polish and half German. He is half German and half Russian. We both have pale skin, light hair, blue eyes, and are fairly tall. However, our daughter Luna is about 160 centimeters or 5 feet 3, and she has dark hair and a brown complexion, like her biological father. I often heard snide remarks about me being an unfaithful wife because it was obvious she wasn't my husband's child. It was tough when Luna was young because she looked like her dad. My husband took care of her most of the time since I had bad flashbacks whenever I saw her face from when I was defiled. As she grew up, it died down, but I would still get horrible panic attacks when I saw her wearing boys' clothes and short hair. Since I was prone to panic attacks, Luna ended up closer to my husband than to me. She often got more than her siblings from my husband as compensation. We never told her she was the product of intimacy defilement because I was too ashamed, and my husband didn't want her feeling different. I often told her that her biological father and I had an altercation and never spoke again. About 2 years ago, she got a DNA test and found a relative who connected her with her bio dad. They started talking despite my protests. He wanted to speak to me, so Luna tried to persuade me. I made her aware that her father and I shouldn't ever be in the same room. Now, Luna is getting married to a lovely young man. The plan was to have my husband walk her down the aisle, but he had gotten into an accident, leaving him in a wheelchair temporarily. This wasn't her idea of a perfect wedding, so she invited her biological father instead. Her invitation not only invited my rapist, but disrespected the man who raised her. Although a bridesmaid or I could have pushed my husband down the aisle, she thought it wouldn't fit the wedding's vibe. My husband looked shocked and upset, but I was furious. I told her I wouldn't be anywhere near that man. She insisted this was what she wanted, so I told her I wouldn't attend if he were there. She got upset, saying I shouldn't hang on to the past, but I told her she didn't know what happened between me and her biological father. I decided to stop running and tell her everything. I called her over and apologized for yelling, explaining I was angry at how quickly she replaced her father because of his wheelchair. She asked why I was so against her genetic father, so I told her everything from our friendship to her forced conception. She didn't believe me at first, but I offered to show her the court records. Later that day, she returned crying and apologizing. We had a long therapeutic chat that made me feel closer to her. She suggested taking me to a surprise to help me feel better. Days later, she brought me to a restaurant where her biological father was waiting. She said he was there to apologize and start my healing journey. I wanted to leave, but he grabbed my hand, triggering all those repressed memories. I had a panic attack, somehow made it to my car, and called my elder son to pick me up. My daughter later called, upset that I had ruined her surprise. She admitted wanting me to get used to him because he would walk her down the aisle with my husband and do the daddy-daughter dance. I told her I respected her decision to have a relationship with him, but wouldn't be anywhere he was. My husband supports my decision not to attend the wedding. I was afraid my other children would disown her if they knew, so I invited them for dinner and told them everything. They were silent until my elder daughter started crying. My sons were furious with my youngest. A week later, my elder daughter posted on Facebook, calling out my youngest for siding with her mother's rapist and re-traumatizing me. My sons made similar posts. I asked them to take the post down since I don't like people knowing my personal business. My youngest fiance came to my house with his mother to apologize. He broke off the engagement, saying he couldn't be with someone who treated their parents like that. His mother expressed disgust at my daughter's actions. I was stunned by all the support, but disappointed because I wanted him to join our family. My youngest sent me a nasty voicemail blaming me for ruining her life, saying her friends and fiance cut her off. I felt sorry because I had tried to avoid the situation. I told my therapist about this, and she pointed out that while I was the victim, my daughter brought it on herself. My therapist is probably right, but I can't stop this feeling of dread. I tried to call my daughter, but I hung up once I heard her father on the line. He took it upon himself to let me know that my daughter was depressed because of my actions. I feel terrible for treating my daughter like this. My husband says I should focus on myself, and I'm trying to, but I just can't stop worrying. I don't think that my daughter is safe when she's with her biological father.